I suggest you study this.
The views and opinions expressed on the Rosco Show are not necessarily those of Rosco. Assumptions made within this program are not reflective of the position of Rosco. Please do your own research when it comes to any and all information given on this program. Google is your friend.
As far as my praying to Jesus, my life and my whole eternity belongs to God. All this stuff is temporary. The money, fame, success, temporary. Even life is temporary. Jesus, that's eternal. Jesus said this, whoever acknowledges me before men, he will acknowledge before the Father in heaven. Whoever disowns me, I'll disown him to the Father. Now those words are written in red, so they're important.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Rosco Show. This is Rosco. I am joined by the lovely Iris, as always. Iris, how are you tonight? Just good? You know, they say that when you ask somebody how they're feeling, when they say good, good is not a feeling word. How are you feeling tonight? Exuberant? I don't even know what that means. Well, you're looking really good tonight, I must say. And you know it. So it's an exciting episode, guys. We have Brandy Madden on from the Secular Media Group. She is also the wife of Atheist podcaster David Smalley. And just to go through what Secular Media Group is, just very quickly, they have quite a few podcasts. They have Dogma Debate with David Smalley, No Religion Required with Bobby and Miss Ashley, which we've actually had on this show before. The Phil Ferguson Show with the one and only Phil Ferguson, Sexual Sexuality with Dr. Darrow Ray, and The Atheist Manifesto with Callie Wright. They also have Atheist audiobooks, and I know they're going to be putting out some children's books very, very soon. I myself have actually listened to about half the books that Atheist Audiobooks has released, so I'm a legitimate fan of the Atheist audiobooks and the podcast. I pretty much listen to every single podcast on Secular Media Group, so pretty proud of that as well. We also have Pastor Jay with Know the Truth and no Spidey Steph this week, guys. No Spidey Steph, but we're going to have a surprise for you coming later on in the episode, and I guess you'll find out about that when we get there. But for right now, we're going to get into some Rosco Bible readings right here on the Rosco Show, so check that shit out. One day, God spoke to Abram. He said, I am God. Walk with me. I will confirm my covenant between you and I, and you will greatly increase in number. Abram could not believe what he was hearing. God said, You will be the father of many. The name Abram means exalted father. The name Abraham means father of many. From now on, you will be known as Abraham. You will be fruitful, and many great men, including kings, will come from you. This covenant exists between me, you, and your descendants, and it is everlasting. The entire land of Canaan now belongs to you and your descendants forever, and I will be their God. Then God said, As for you, Abraham, this is my covenant you and your descendants are to keep. You and every male among you must be circumcised. From this point forward, every male born among you must be circumcised when they become 8 days old, including a child born to a slave. My covenant is within your flesh, and it is everlasting. Any man that is not circumcised must be cut off from his people, as he has broken my covenant. Your wife Sarai will now be known as Sarah. I will give you a son from her, and she will be the mother of many great men, including kings. Abram fell down laughing. He was 99 years old at this time, and said to God, Will I really father a child at 100 years old? Will Sarah really give birth at 90 years old? I was hoping my son Ishmael could live under your blessing. Your wife Sarah will have a son, and you will name him Isaac, said God. I will establish my covenant with him and his descendants after him. As for Ishmael, he too will greatly increase in number. He will be the father of 12 rulers, but Isaac is the one that I will make my covenant with. He will be born this time next year. That same day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and all other males among them, including the slaves, and circumcised them, as well as himself.
Hey, this is Casey the Witch, and you're listening to The Rosco Show.
Welcome back. So yeah, God was like, check it out, Abraham. You can have this land. You're going to have all these descendants. But I want you to go around and I want you to cut off the tips of everybody's penis. And I know that sounds ridiculous, me saying it. Iris is smiling. I know that sounds ridiculous, me saying it, but that's legitimately what that basically says. Is he's like, yo, even your slaves, cut off the tips of their penises. That's what I want. So, yeah. I really don't have much else to say. Take that for what it is. I kind of find it... I don't know how I find it. It's just weird a little bit. So, as always, we have Pastor Jay on the show, and this week it's actually a very entertaining segment. He has 10 questions a Christian cannot answer, and he blew these questions out of the water. He answered every single one of them extremely professionally. So yeah, Know the Truth, Pastor Jay, Rosco Show, check it out. What?
Hey sheep, Pastor Jay here from Know the Truth. So the other day I stumbled across this video while looking for some Ray Comfort Banana videos. It's called 10 Questions That Christians Can't Answer. Well, since my church is the one true church and God speaks directly through me, I figured I'd tackle these questions that nobody else seems to be able to. So without further ado, let's get started.
The Word of God is His sperm.
Question number 1.
When Noah's Ark landed, how did the kangaroos make it back to Australia?
Okay, that one's pretty easy. If you would learn the science right, you would know that back then all the continents were together. Pangina or Pangea or something. It wasn't until after the flood about 4,000 years ago that God decided to split up the continents because he knew that homosexuality would be rampant in the year 2015.
Question number 2.
If the ark was covered in pitch or tar to make it watertight, it also made it airtight. How did the animals survive more than 1 or 2 days living in complete darkness without any fresh air? Remember, the rain lasted 40 days and 40 nights. Noah couldn't open the window in the top.
Okay, as you probably don't know, most buildings have their roofs covered in pitch or even tar. How are you able to breathe in clean air when you step inside a Walmart or a Piggly Wiggly? And as for Noah not being able to open the window, how did he let the dove fly away to look for dry land?
Question number 3.
Since Adam and Eve didn't know right from wrong before eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, why did God then punish them for something they didn't understand they were doing?
I hope these get harder. If you would kindly read Genesis 3:3, it clearly states, "You must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it or you will die." Seems pretty cut and dry to me, sir.
Question number 4.
Why would God place a forbidden tree in the garden so close to his innocent creation and allow Satan to tempt them into eating from it, all the while looking on without doing a thing to prevent it?
I'm sure at first glance this seems bad, but if an all-powerful God creates you from dust and a rib, places you in a paradise only to be matched by heaven and says,
"This is yours for eternity. All you have to do is not eat and touch this one tree,"
then I'm sure any two people could have done it. Well, if they were both men, anyway.
Question number 5.
When the women went to Jesus' empty tomb, was the stone already rolled away? Or did an angel roll it away after the women got there?
An angel rolled it away. Stones that big don't roll away themselves, and come on, those two women didn't do it.
Question number 6.
On the first day of the week, when Jesus rose from the dead, how many women went to the tomb? And which ones?
There were 2 women, his mother Mary and his sinner groupie Mary.
Question number 7.
If you believe the creation account in Genesis is mere allegory, then why don't you throw out Paul's epistles? Because he believed that the creation account was a historical fact.
Whoa. Genesis, like every other book in the Bible, is 100% fact-driven stories. There's no allergies here.
Question number 8.
How many donkeys did Jesus ride in his triumphal entry into Jerusalem? Was it 1 donkey, like Mark, Luke, and John say? Or was it 2 donkeys like Matthew said?
Just how big do you think Jesus was? I've been horseback riding before. Even if you haven't, I'm sure you've seen a Western or 2 before. It would be very difficult to ride 2 donkeys at one time.
Question number 9.
Matthew and Luke both provide genealogies for Jesus, going all the way back to Adam. Using both of those lists, who was Joseph's father?
His dad was Jacob. Heli was more of a babysitter.
Question number 10.
Was Jesus crucified on the first day of Passover like the Gospel of John says, or the next day like the other 3 Gospels say.
Jesus was tortured the first day, but he didn't die until the second day. There was some confusion when the authors started writing their stories. Of course, God cleared it up, but man and sin confused. Well, there you have it, folks. I have bravely gone where no Christian has gone before me. I have tackled questions that couldn't be answered, and I alone have answered them via God speaking through me. I'd also like to thank George Carlin for making this video so I could once again put the nail in the atheist coffin. Your religion just doesn't hold any water, atheist. Time to repent and join the winning team, which is my church, the one and true church. We accept PayPal, Bitcoin, MasterCard, Visa, or any other sort of payment you want to give me personally in my office.
There will be 50 people give $1,000, and do it right now, or I am finished. Try me.
Oh yeah, this is my jam. You like this music, Iris? This is Jason's music. I'm so freaking glad he lets me use it on the show. Yeah, all the music that you hear on the show is from Jason, by the way. Pastor J, the guy you just heard, actually. All the music that you hear on the show is from him, except for the little background music that you hear playing right now. That's all my friend Manotronaut, who is a producer, and he's amazing as well. He makes some great instrumentals, some great beats, some great background music. Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to throw that out there right now. We got some great music on the show, I think. So a couple weeks ago, we had No Religion Required on the show, Bobby and Miss Ashley. And it was one of my favorite episodes of all time that I've ever done. I know we've only done 11 episodes, but that was definitely my favorite. I think that as time goes by, our show gets better and better. And if you listen closely, you'll hear my head expanding. No, honestly, though, that was one of my favorite episodes. And they actually took the time to mention me on their podcast. So here's a little sound clip. Check it out.
All right, well, welcome back to No Religion Required. As we bring this week's show to a close, I want to say thank you to Rosco of the Rosco Show for having us as his guest this week. He's brand new to the scene, guys. He's brand new to the podcast world, and he's willing to add his voice to the movement. So if you have not listened to the Rosco Show, please go over and welcome him to the community, because I can clearly remember what it's like being brand new to this community and trying to get this show off the ground. I mean, if it wasn't for Bill from the Barroom Atheist and Cash from Atheist on there that helped me get this show off the ground, I'd probably still be struggling to get it. And
talking to a wall.
Talking to a wall. And, of course, you know, guys like David Smalley and just the community took us under their wing and made us a part of the community. So please go give his show a listen. We are his newest episode, and he's brand new. You can find his show on Spreaker, and you can leave him a comment, let him know, hey, you heard him right here on No Religion Required.
So I want to thank Bobby and Ashley for even mentioning me on their show. They did not have to do that, but it's a huge honor. I'm a huge fan of their show to begin with, so it was a huge honor to even have them on the show, let alone them mention me on their show. So I just want to say thank you guys. That's amazing. And like I said, it's a huge honor. So thank you so much. We have Brandy Madden coming up not right now, because we have some commercials that we have to play first. But once we get through these commercials, you're going to be hearing the interview I did with Brandy Madden, the wife of an atheist podcaster. Stick around.
I didn't believe in soulmates. To be honest, I didn't believe in anything.
I was at the point in my life where I was just about ready to give up on love. You know, like how I gave up on the idea that some supernatural deity controls our lives.
Social mixers, work picnics. I just wasn't finding the cynical people that were right for me.
I just wanted to find someone who I could fall in love, have kids, grow old, and eventually cease to exist in a black hole of nothingness with. Someone special.
That's when I found Atheist Mingle.
Atheist Mingle!
Atheist Mingle.
Atheist Mingle is the place to find that perfect skeptical somebody.
I believe in an America where the separation of church and state is absolute, where no religious body seeks to impose its will, directly or indirectly, upon the general populace.
Let's restore respect for America's secular roots
Help the Freedom From Religion Foundation defend the wall of separation between state and church. Join us at ffrf.org. Freedom depends on freethinkers.
Where did we come from? Are aliens real? Did God really create the earth in 7 days? Why does the scripture contradict itself? What happened to the dinosaurs? Where do we go when we die? Are we living in the Matrix? I used to think I was the only one that asked myself these questions. Turns out, a lot of people ask themselves these questions. Like-minded individuals! Well, we're all a little on the side of, not really knowing anything. So I started a podcast, appropriately titled The Rosco Show. Oh no, not another atheist podcast. You really think you can throw your hat into this race? Don't worry, other Rosco. Sure, we feature atheists here and there, but this is a podcast for everyone. What I'm really interested in is talking to believers. And non-believers, of course. Basically, I like to hear all the weird, abstract, what the fuck did he just say? Things that go on inside of people's heads. Hit us up on Spreaker or at theroscoshow.com. You might just learn something.
Welcome back to the Rosco Show. I am here with Brandy Madden. Brandy is the wife of atheist podcaster David Smalley, who is the host of Dogma Debate. Brandy, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am also doing great. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
The question I ask every one of my guests to start is, can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Sure. My education was kind of cut a little short because I was a lucky gal and got pregnant at 14 and had my child at 15. So I basically tried to go back to school once I was done having my child, and it was just really too difficult. I was in a class with a bunch of kids, and I was a little bit more mature. I tried it, and it was just too much. I was trying to work and go to school, and so I ended up leaving in the 9th grade, I believe, to get my GED. And then after that, I used to work at a hospital for a couple of years. I was thinking about being a nurse.
Wow.
I decided I would just kind of test it out and just get in the doors and see how it is from the inside. And as it turned out, it wasn't really anything that I was interested in because of the hours. And, a lot of nurses work 12-hour shifts. They work holidays, and I didn't really want that for my family. So I decided that wasn't for me. So I went on to work as a 911 dispatcher. And I did that for a couple of years. And it was probably my most favorite job ever. The only downfall is that it was very demanding. So bad weather, you still have to go in. If your kid's sick, you still have to go in. And there's no missing work, not working weekends, and your shift was changed often. So it was just like my family became second and my job became first, and I didn't like the way that felt. So I left the police department, and then I worked in accounting for a couple of years. And I loved that because it was exactly what I was looking for, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and I got to spend time with my family. But I left there to actually join Dogma Debate full-time.
Wow. So where in that whole scenario was it that you actually met David?
I met David when my son was 8 months old.
Wow.
Yeah. We've known each other for a very, very long time.
Wow, so you guys were both pretty young then at that time.
Yeah, he was a little older. Of course, I was a little mature for my age, and so the minute we talked, we just hit it off really well, so...
Awesome. And this might kind of be like a cliche question, but when did you know that you were an atheist? Was it when you met David, or was that already like strong or prominent in both of you? Or was David still a Christian? Because I knew that at one point in David's life he was a Christian.
As far as me, I didn't really identify with anything. Basically, I grew up in my mother's home, and she was a single parent, and we didn't ever go to church. I mean, my dad lived in Oklahoma, and I guess I would say I've been to church maybe 5 times in my entire life. But I never was taught that I was a non-believer either. I was just taught, love everyone, and that's really all that matters.
And that really is all that matters, to be honest with you, so that was a good lesson.
Yeah, I mean, it is. That is what matters, really. I guess later on down the line, whenever David identified himself as an atheist, I thought, I kind of labeled him the same way we get labeled now. Just that it's kind of weird and just unsure about it. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what it meant. All I knew is that it sounded like a bad word to me, because that's kind of what society makes us believe. And so I didn't really share with my friends or anything. I didn't really share with my mom at first. I was unsure of it myself. But I guess it was really when we went to California. And David was in a film called My Week in Atheism. And he, of course, took the whole family with him. And we were going to stay with that family, that Christian family, for a week. And so everything was going great. And we were actually taking a little road trip off to Lake Tahoe. And his daughter started telling us a story about how if someone is gay, then they're broken. And she started listing all the reasons, or all the questions or whatnot she's asked her friends. And, you know, she said that most of them had been sexually abused, or some sort of abuse has occurred, and that's the reason why they're gay.
Wow.
And for some reason, it just sent a fire through me. I got so angry. And I'm not the type of person to really get angry at all. I'm usually a pretty laid-back, easygoing. I don't really comment on a lot of things. I don't really have a lot of opinions. And I kind of just keep all that stuff to myself. But that day, I was like, you know, I have something to say about this. This is ridiculous. I cannot believe someone is saying this. And they're in the same car with me. I need to say something. So I spoke up and I said, did you ask your straight friends these same questions? And is there a certain reason why people are straight? And she just looked at me. And there was silence for a long time. And her dad spoke up at that time and said basically the same thing. I thought he was going to be like, you know, oh no, you know, that's not right. Don't say that. That's ridiculous. But he basically said that it's the same scenario with his gay friends. And I was just blown away and shocked and mad and angry. And that was the moment that I decided that atheism really does matter as far as identifying as an atheist. And activism matters because this is what people think. And this needs to be fixed. How is it that there's people out here that really feel this way?
So you thought that they felt that way because of their religious beliefs then?
Oh, absolutely. That's what they're taught, you know, since they're little, that there must be something wrong with these people if they're gay.
Wow.
And I don't agree with that at all, especially since I was raised in a home where you know, I was always taught to love everybody. It didn't matter race, sexual orientation, none of that mattered. You treated friends as family. I mean, my friends could come over and grab something out of the fridge and we wouldn't even say anything. We would treat them just like family. So it was just crazy to me. And so that was the moment that changed me and made me care, because I don't want people to feel that way, because if they feel that way, then that means there's judgment. And with judgment comes people that don't feel like they can come out of the closet. It's why, you know, there's suicide, a high suicide rate amongst gays. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done, and we've got to get out there and change the world. We have to.
Right, yeah, humanism and equality are like what's most important, and I don't disagree with you. I've had those moments too where somebody just kind of says something that they don't even think it's a big deal, but I just like you were saying, I just have that fire burning inside me with anger. And a lot of times it is hard to keep your mouth shut. So basically you had that aha moment where you thought, wow, I'm an atheist. But was it out of anger, or was it an epiphany, or was it kind of like a mixture of both?
I think I was always an atheist. I think that I was always an atheist, but I just didn't really care. I didn't really, you know, all these people that sit back and say, why do you care so much? Well, this is why. I guess at the time when all this happened, or prior to this happening, I was one of those people like, why does it matter? You're not going to change people's worldview. You know, that's kind of the way that I felt about what David was doing. I was like, why does it matter? This is pointless, basically. But it was that day that I was like, oh.
Now I understand.
This is why it matters. Because I guess I've never really encountered somebody that's made such a ridiculous assumption based off their own. I don't know. I guess I've never came across that before. Or maybe I didn't pay attention. I don't know.
Getting into the podcasting a little bit. So David started Dogma Debate, I think, maybe 3 years ago. I'm not 100% sure on the timeline. So can you tell me what it's like, a day in the life of the wife of an atheist podcaster? That was fun to say.
It's a lot of work. Whole lot of work. I don't think that a lot of people understand how much work and time goes into everything that he's put into Dogma Debate, and even everything prior to Dogma Debate. I think that people just think that you can just go in the studio and just hit play and start recording, and then that's it. And that's all we do. Like, what's the big deal about that? And I know that from the very beginning when all this started, it was hours upon hours, and mostly at night, because he's a night owl, but he would be up until I would wake up for the day. So he would be up all night, you know, working on this stuff. And there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, the website, the audiobooks, the podcast, the contracts with authors, the contracts with iHeartRadio. There's just a lot of work that goes into it. So, you know, we have to be understanding of what he's trying to do. And the reason why it's so important, we have to be understanding of that, because in the end, you know, we can't make a difference if we don't work on this stuff. At first, it was really hard for me to understand, because I didn't have that mentality. I didn't have the fire underneath me that like he did. And so not understanding and not having that fire it really was hard at first. But after that week with the Christian family, it was easy for me to understand. It was a whole lot easier to be supportive of what he was doing. because I understood how important it was. So.
Right. And to be honest with you, I think that the way that you felt before is very similar to, my girlfriend, Iris. She thinks it's cool that I have my own podcast and all that, but underneath, I don't think she doesn't really care all that much, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think the difference between my podcast and Dogma Debate is, first of all, Dogma Debate is probably far better than my podcast. Second of all, I'm not really, I know I'm being hard on myself, but I'm not really doing
Well,
it.
I haven't listened, so I haven't gotten the chance to really know and make that judgment, but I'm sure it's great.
Oh, well, maybe you'll listen to this episode when I post it. We'll see. But
no, I'll listen to another episode.
My podcast is not really any sort of, I don't do any sort of activism, if you know what I mean. There's really no sort of message that I'm trying to portray. I do like to talk to religious people and non-religious people, but that's only for my own fascination. It's kind of selfish of me. Just religion in general and religious people in general and their ideas and their beliefs and those WTF moments. What the heck did he just say? I'm fascinated by that. So it's not really that I'm trying to convey any message or like I said, it's not really activism in any way, shape, or form. With David, because it is activism and that he's getting, essentially he's getting something accomplished by this. He's getting a very powerful message that he agrees with out. So do you think that he finds that very satisfying to do this, or does he even look at this as work?
He definitely finds it interesting, and he definitely loves doing it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it. The day, and I won't forget the day that he decided to do this full time, we were scared to death. We didn't know if we were going to be able to make it financially. It's like, going from a 6-figure income to barely being able to pay our bills was a difficult decision to make, because it's interesting and it's great to be active and kind of get the message out and make atheism more common so that other people feel okay to come out as being atheist too. But at the same time, it was scary, because it's like, how are we going to make this work? That day was a very, very scary day. But since that day, we've put in tons and tons of hours working on things that we still enjoy and we still love, but there's parts of it that is just flat out work, things that people don't think about, the tax part of it and the dealing with the CPA and the website and rebuilding and making things fresh all the time. And we have an IT person and trying to work around volunteer schedules to make sure that, we have people available to edit audiobooks and, be there to support us. It's still work. I know that he loves it, and I know that he wouldn't change anything about what we're doing, and I wouldn't either. But I do know that there's parts of it that is definitely still work.
Right.
So no matter how you look at it, you still have to put in and do some things that you don't necessarily love doing to still do the things that you absolutely love doing. I know if you asked him right now if he could basically just pick one thing could do, he would choose sitting in that studio interviewing people. That's what he loves doing.
You know what? It sounds like he's having a lot of fun. Well, in the episodes anyways. So what about you then? When you guys are not filming, well, I guess you guys do film. You guys film for the paying audience there. But when you guys are doing an episode and you're in studio, are you having a lot of fun in there with those guys?
Oh, yeah. I love being in there. I absolutely love being in there. I love being in there for the same reason people love to listen, because it's an opportunity for me to learn new things that I wouldn't have known otherwise in a fun way. If I wasn't in there, I can tell you I'm not going to sit down and get on my computer and research all this information. I'm just not. I'm not type of person. I like the interaction, and I like having people in studio, and I like having the Christians and hearing their viewpoints and understanding where they're coming from and how they even got there and how they grew up, because I'm not familiar with any of that. I wasn't raised in a church, so I don't understand how, you know, whenever people say they have a coming out story and stuff, I can try to understand, and I do my best to understand, but since I've never been in their shoes, it's really hard for me to really understand what they're saying.
Right.
So it's really an opportunity for everyone to get a grasp on, you know, what these religions are like.
Do you ever have any empathy for these religious people?
Empathy about?
Like, just the fact that they have a belief that they strongly believe in, then, you know, they might have atheists that are essentially, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, they're asking them questions, making them question their belief, and, you know, a lot of the times they almost seem sad. I don't like when they get angry. Sometimes they get angry, but sometimes they seem sad and confused when they get asked these questions because it's things that they've never pondered before. Just an example given, I saw an interview somebody did with a Christian, and they asked them, it was the problem of evil. And all of a sudden, the Christian got, like, almost sad because they've never ever encountered this problem before. And you knew they were questioning their faith at that moment. And I felt sad for them, to be honest with you. I felt empathetic for them because, you know, this is something they've never ever thought of before. So, in those sort of circumstances, you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I do, and I do. And it's because I'm a compassionate, caring person, and I don't like it when anyone's sad. And it makes me sad to see someone sad. But at the same time, I feel that way, and I have those feelings at the time. I still think it's very important and necessary to have those types of conversations, because if they've never thought about it before, that's even more of a reason to bring it to surface and to talk about it, because maybe that's why they still believe, because they've never thought about all of these different things. You know, I think it's important. If you're going to believe something and you're going to call them your God and you're going to worship that person, then you need to really wrap your head around every single aspect of it. And you need to understand why you believe it. If you understand the why, then, okay, if you still believe it, even after being questioned, then that's fine. What I'm really trying to say is I think that people are indoctrinated at such a young age that they're not given a choice. They're just told what to believe, and they just go with it. And I think it really depends on where you grow up, where you were born, and, you know, once it's brought to question and they're made to think about it, you know, I think that's a good thing.
So, like, they're not going to go and research their own religion, or they're not going to go research whether it's real or not because, you know, in their heart they believe it's real. I think the only rough part I have with that is that if there's a Christian, for example, and they like to cherry pick the Bible sometimes, meaning, you know, they like to take the good and leave out the bad.
Right.
So if there's a Christian who, you know, they have nothing to do with, they have no problem with gay marriage, they have no problem with abortion, you know, they're not into planned marriages or sacrifices or anything like that, then you know what? They're cool in my opinion. I know a lot of atheists would have a problem with that statement. I think what makes me sad is when somebody does ask them these couple questions and you just see that look on their face and their world just becomes shattered because they've never ever pondered these questions before. In those instances, although I think it's kind of almost healthy for them to come to this realization, it's probably appropriate that they come to this realization. I just find it very hard to watch, if you know what I mean, or very hard to listen to in a lot of cases as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I said, anytime anyone's hurt or upset, it bothers me. I mean, that's just who I am. That's the type of person I am. But to tell someone or to make someone question their belief in their God, these people, it's not just a belief to them. This is how they grew up. They spent their life in a church. They have friends in the church. They, take their casseroles to the church on Sunday. They go on mission trips, and it's a big part of their life. To question whether it's even all real or true, or to make them think about those things, is a very difficult thing. So I completely understand why it would be difficult and why they would be upset or sad. Because if you take away the religion, you're not just taking away the religion, you're taking away their community, their support system, their
belief,
the place that they're used to going. They hold so much. They put so much into this. It's not just, I pray before dinner. It's not just that. So it is difficult, but I still think that it's necessary to ask questions and for them to really wrap their heads around what they believe and why they believe it. It's very, very important.
Right. So almost like be more careful because there's not a safety net there. You know what I mean? So don't fall because...
There's no... Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There's no way you can ask the question without affecting their emotions in some way.
Right.
There's no possible way. You're going to affect their emotions. That's just the way it is. But that's why these conversations are difficult to have, and that's why a lot of people say, don't have these conversations at work, because it can be damaging to relationships and friendships, and they're very difficult conversations to have. And I think some people are better at having these conversations than other people. And
right.
What I mean by that is I think that you have to be very, very careful, because they're humans, they're people too, and they have emotions just like we talked about. And so it's important to be respectful and still ask the questions.
And it works both ways too. I mean, atheists are also humans too. So when there's a Christian just nonchalantly talking about how gays should be murdered or whatever, I'm not 100% sure what it is exactly that they might talk about that might upset an atheist, but they might say things like that just nonchalantly too. And I think in some instances, they do say those things on purpose just to upset atheists as well. So it works both ways.
Right. We're all humans. We're all trying to figure out our way in this world. And so I don't know that you can judge someone just because they're a believer, because if I was taught to believe that, maybe, who knows, maybe I would still be a Christian, still trying to figure out my way in the world. I don't know. Hopefully, I would have figured out, that there's no evidence for that, but especially by now, having all these conversations, that David has, I think that sometimes it takes a while for them to, just like David says, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It takes a while for these people to understand and to really grasp, what we're trying to say and what we're trying to question. It's a difficult conversation to have.
Right. It always is, actually. I think even some atheists talking to other atheists about it, there's always going to be disagreements, and there's always going to be, different ideas and different opinions. And okay, Brandy, so in the atheist movement itself, I don't know how involved you are, but what are you most proud of that you've accomplished in the atheist movement?
I guess the most important thing to me is volunteering. I think that's the most important thing that I've accomplished, and that's just, I don't know that it directly affects or people understand quite yet, but I guess trying to shed some light on, there are good people out there that are still atheists. For all these people that want to pass judgment is what I'm addressing. These people that want to pass judgment and say, atheists are weird, and, they wear black and paint their fingernails black, and that's just weird. And I'm not just saying that because that's what I think. I've heard people in my family say this. My dad, for instance, has labeled us this way. So for me, it's important to paint a picture that you can still be a good person without a belief in a God. And I try to portray that through volunteering, not only through my own volunteering, but I try to get other people to volunteer as well. So that way, you know, we can stop being judged so much. It's ridiculous. I don't
Right.
I don't understand the judgment.
So it's like you're just showing that, you know, atheists can be good people too, and you know, you're not trying to please any particular God. You're just doing it just because it comes natural. You're just a good person, and you're trying to show that.
Right, through volunteer work. So, you know, if anybody asks and it gets brought up, then I try to mention my non-belief, so that way it becomes more common. I think it's important for atheism to become more common, because the more common it becomes, the easier it is for other people to come out to their families and be accepted. And acceptance is important. It's very, very important, especially if you grew up in a family like mine where all we did every week and weekend and holiday and party, we spent time with family. And all of a sudden not being accepted by your own family can be pretty devastating and upsetting. I don't want that to happen to other people. I don't want people to experience that, because it's not a fun path, and I don't like the way it feels to me. I just don't want anybody to feel that way. And I know they do, and I know a lot of people have it way worse than I do. I hate that. I wish I could take away the pain and help people understand that we are good people, and we do good things, and we're not weird, and we don't... I mean, yeah, there might be a person that wears black polish, I don't know, but who really cares? I mean, we're all, like I said, we're all in this world just trying to figure out our way and learn what's best for us, so I really hate the judgment.
Right, yeah, all religions or non-religions, they come in all shapes, colors, sizes, and genders, so it's...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but the problem is these churches, since they don't have to pay taxes, so they have these buildings where people can go, and they build really large communities of people that go around the world helping out and doing things and go on mission trips, and they do all these types of things. We don't have a building or a place like that, so it's really hard for us to be as impressionable. That's just my opinion.
Right, and it's kind of hard to turn atheism into like an organized religion so that you can go out and do those things too, right? So,
right, because it's not.
Exactly.
It's not a religion, so it's like, you know, we don't really need a building, first of all. We don't really need to not pay taxes. We're completely fine with paying taxes. It's a hard, tough way to prove that you're good people. You're just standing, you know, by yourself trying to round up as many people as possible, and you don't have a building to go to
preach, basically. So, yeah, I know what you're saying.
An atheist group purchased a giant sign outside the Lincoln Tunnel here in New York City that said belief in Jesus as God is, quote, a myth. Then just last weekend, another sign appeared, this one in Huntsville, Alabama. The message says this about religion: you know, they're all scams, picturing Christian, Jewish, and Islamic symbols on the sign. So what's going on? With us now, David Silverman, president of the American Atheist Group, which is responsible for both billboards. So why the insults?
Well, they're not insults, they're truths.
Wait. And we just heard Nancy Pelosi said that it's pay as you go. So let's try to get into the truth.
This isn't about pay as you go. This is about telling the truth. Now, if people get offended because we're saying what we believe,
no.
That's not us insulting.
Let's just be regular guys instead of I'm a Catholic, you're atheist. We're just regular guys now, okay? You say something's a scam.
Yep.
On a sign. And then you come in here where millions of people are watching you and say that's not an insult. What does the word scam mean to you?
Scam means it's deliberately misleading people.
And that's not an insult?
It's not an insult to the people. The people are just following.
It's not an insult to the people?
It's a statement to the people who are following the religion. And really, it's attacking the people who are in the pews. Right. Wait a second.
Wait. Now, I'm stick with the insult, because this is certainly an insult in my opinion. And I know I'm not the smartest guy in town. But, okay, so religion is a scam, but it's not the people's fault. They've just been lured in.
That's right.
Whose fault is it?
It's the leaders of the religion.
The leaders.
Of course.
All right.
I mean, this is not
the Pope,
The Pope, absolutely.
Right.
Look,
All of
this
these
is not
people.
brain surgery, and this is not world news. Everybody knows religion is a scam. The only news here...
Everybody knows. I don't know, Mr. Silverman.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. I got to tell you.
You sit here and you're skeptical every day, and then you go to church and you get on your knees and you pray to an invisible man in the sky.
Invisible man in the sky.
You think that's a scam?
No, I don't.
You look at a statue
I'll tell you why.
of a man that was built by a man?
I'll tell you why it's not a scam, in my opinion. All right? Tide goes in, tide goes out. Never a miscommunication. You can't explain that. You can explain why the tide goes in.
Tide goes in, tide goes out.
See, the water, the tide comes in and it goes out, Mr. Silverman.
Maybe
it
it's
always comes in
on top of Mount Olympus who's making the tides go in and out.
No, but you can't explain
a scam and a myth are the same. The
You can't
myth and
explain
religion are the same thing. It doesn't matter if I can explain it.
It doesn't?
That doesn't mean that an invisible magic man in the sky is doing it.
And you're free to believe that. But when you insult...
We're not insulting. Look, there are thousands
You're
of billboards.
calling religion a scam and a myth.
It is a scam and it is a myth, but that's a statement of fact. If you get insulted
It is not
by
a statement of fact.
Of course it's
a statement of
fact.
belief.
It's an invisible man in the sky.
That's what you believe. It's not a fact.
This country is filled with billboards attacking atheists, and this country has several billboards.
All right. Show me, tell me where there's one attacking.
Just go all up and down the New Jersey Turnpike, and you'll see that we're going to hell, we're going to burn, hell is real.
I've never seen one like that. Can you tell me what exit it is? I'd like to go see it.
8A, go ahead.
All right, and who bought that?
It doesn't matter. The point is they're allowed to say what they want to say, and we're allowed to say what we're allowed to say.
Okay, so what good does it do the atheist community in the United States, which according to a Pew Religious Center is about 1%, 1.6% of the American, what good does it do you to insult 80% of the American people by saying they're too stupid to know what they're doing?
We didn't say stupid.
No, but if you say that the people are duped and I can't possibly believe
Gullible,
it,
that's the word.
You're calling me a moron. Because
I'm not calling you a moron.
Yes, you are.
It's the greatest scam in the history of the world.
And then I fall for it.
And you fell for it.
Right,
Yeah.
so I'm an idiot.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
man.
then how could I not be?
You know, your teaser for this segment was
if it's a fact that
religious people in public.
If it's a fact, according to you, that there is no God, then I'd have to be a moron to believe in a God. I'd have to be stupid.
Well, we want you to think about that. And our position is that the churches are filled with atheists. Our position is that the churches are filled with people who know it's a myth, who know it's a scam.
Why do they go to church?
We don't know. Well,
you don't know. You don't know why it is.
Bill, the whole point is that there's a lot of familial and social pressure keeping people into church. But that's a good question.
What good does it do?
They're writing checks and they know it's a scam. They're on their knees and they know it's a scam.
Look, if you think that people go in to church and they know that this is a scam and they write money to it, if you believe that, you're a loon. Okay? There you go.
Now, I didn't insult you, but you just insulted me.
I just said
you just called me a loon, and in your teaser you said we're assaulting believers in public.
The word if you believe that, you're a loon. What good does it do 2% of the population to attack and insult 80%? It's not going to help your cause.
We're not attacking and insulting the 80%. We're luring the atheists out of the pews.
You're luring them out.
We are. We're telling them that this is not a 1% or a 2%.
So they're going to see a sign and go, you know what? That's right.
Well, if it's not the case, I'm not here on the O'Reilly Factor now, am I?
No, you're here because I don't understand what you're trying to get out of it. But now that you've explained it to me, that most people who go to church are atheists.
Many.
I just can't admit it to them.
That's right.
And these signs are going to lure them out.
Myth,
now I understand it perfectly.
It raises the awareness. It tells people that there's a place where they can go, people they can meet.
Where? The Jersey Turnpike? Standing behind a sign?
Alabama.
Is that where they can go?
It's not about the New Jersey Turnpike. This one's about the Alabama Huntsville meeting. And you can find out more at atheists.org.
Oh, all right.
You've got to put the plug in there, my friend.
Now, listen, we appreciate you coming in and taking the heat.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
Welcome back, and now it's time for everybody's favorite segment on the Rosco Show, and this is something we're going to start doing weekly. It's called
Quizzing Iris.
And in case you couldn't understand what that said, it said Quizzing Iris. So, yeah. All right, Iris, are you ready for this intense quiz?
Yep.
All right. This week it is a Bible quiz, so I hope you know your Bible. It's only 10 questions, so it's not like 25 questions like we've been doing previously. It's just going to be a short one, so hopefully it's easy for you. I'm not going to lie, I took this quiz earlier and I actually got 100% on it, so don't make that face. Alright, question number 1. In the Bible, does God kill people? Yes, no, only Satan slaughters people, and only bad people slaughter each other.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. According to the Bible, who creates evil? according to the Bible, who creates evil? Is it Satan, humans, the Lord God, or rich people?
Satan.
Satan, okay. Question number 3. Would God ever do such a thing as spread feces on his creations? Of course not. Yes. Only Satan does such things, or I feel sick.
Of course not.
Of course not? Okay. When the characters in the Bible did not obey God's commands, what are some of the punishments God performed? Gave hemorrhoids, gave head wounds, and utterly destroyed people. Gave bowel diseases and plagues, sent pestilence. All of the above, or none of the above?
None of the above?
None of the above, okay. Question 5. Does the Bible say you should feel happy to kill certain infants by dashing them against rocks? Yes. No. I feel happy. I do not feel happy.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, it's kind of funny because earlier you said that... Actually, never mind. Okay, sorry. Nothing.
You jerk.
Question 6. Why does the Bible mention the eating of dung and drinking of piss? Is it because eating it would add to your godly health? It's another punishment by God? All the inspired words of God represent love and goodness? Or the Bible doesn't explain this?
The Bible doesn't explain?
Okay. Well, I know you... Question 7. If you wish to become a disciple of Jesus, you must first hate your father and mother, hate your brothers and sisters, all of the above, none of the above. Take your time.
None of the above?
None of the above, okay. Question 8. What creatures below does the Bible mention? Is it gorillas, dolphins, elephants, or unicorns?
Unicorns.
Unicorns, okay. Question 9. According to the Bible, what can certain animals do? Donkeys can talk, snakes can talk, all of the above, or none of the above?
All of the above.
All of the above, okay. And the final question. According to Genesis 1, which was created first? Days and nights? The sun and moon? The greater light and lesser light? Or the stars?
Day and night?
Day and night. You think he created day and night before he created the sun and the moon?
Yeah.
Why would he do that? Okay, are you ready for this? First of all, I just want to let you know that I think on about half of these you were wrong.
I didn't read the Bible.
Okay, one sec. Get the score. You got 60%.
That's good enough.
So for the first question, in the Bible, does God kill people? You said yes, and the answer is yes, he does kill people. According to the Bible, who creates evil? You said Satan. The correct answer is the Lord God creates evil.
Wait, go back up.
According to the Bible, who creates evil? You said Satan.
Oh.
The answer is the Lord God. Question 3. Would God ever do such a thing as spread feces on his creation? You said of course not, but the answer is yes. Yes, he would.
Sorry.
Question 4. When the characters in the Bible did not obey God's commands, what are some of the punishments God performed? You said none of the above. The answer is actually all of the above. So he gave hemorrhoids, gave head wounds, utterly destroyed people, gave bowel diseases and plagues, and sent pestilence. How does that make you feel? Oh.
I didn't know that.
Weird, eh?
Yeah.
Question 5. Does the Bible say you should feel happy to kill certain infants by dashing them against the rocks? You said yes, and that, of course, is the correct answer. Of course. Why does the Bible mention the eating of dung and drinking of piss? You said the Bible doesn't explain, and that is the correct answer. The Bible doesn't really explain that, which I think, no offense, but I think we're owed an explanation for that, don't you?
Sure.
So radio friendly. Question 7. If you wish to become a disciple of Jesus, you must first... You said none of the above. The correct answer is actually all of the above.
You have to hate your father and mother?
And hate your brothers and sisters, yes.
Heck?
I know, right?
This is stupid.
Weird, eh? Question 8. What creatures below does the Bible mention? You said unicorns. That was the correct answer. Do you believe in unicorns, Iris?
No.
Question 9. According to the Bible, what can certain animals do? You said all of the above, so donkeys can talk and snakes can talk. And question 10. According to Genesis 1, which was created first, you said the days and the nights, and you were actually correct.
Oh, why make fun of me then?
I wasn't me. I just wanted to know why you might think the days and the nights were created before the sun and the moon.
I remember that.
And because it doesn't really make sense that the days and the nights were created before the sun and the moon, does it?
No.
Yeah, or even... Yeah, okay. Alright, so thank you so much, Iris. You got 60%, so that's a passing grade. I'll give that to you. Alright, guys, let's get into Roscoe's Bible readings right here on The Rosco Show. Check it out. Thanks for that, Iris. Abraham and Sarah were sitting near the trees of Mamre. It was a hot day. Sarah was sitting in their tent, while Abraham was sitting at the entrance of the tent. God appeared to him in the form of 3 men. He looked up and saw the 3 men passing by. He got up and hurried to meet them. "If you favor me, God, please, do not pass me by. I will get you some water and something to eat. You can wash your feet and rest here under this tree for a while. Then you can be on your way." "Very well," the man answered. Abraham hurried into his tent. "Sarah," he said to his wife, "quickly, knead some flour and bake some bread." He then ran and got a choice tender calf and had a servant quickly prepare it. When they were done, Abraham brought some curds and milk and the calf they had prepared for the 3 men. While they ate, Abraham stood nearby. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked. "In the tent," replied Abraham. "I will return this time next year, and Sarah will have a son," they said. Sarah was listening to them talk. She was very old and laughed to herself as she thought, "My husband and I are so old. Will I really experience the satisfaction of having a son?" The men asked Abraham, "Why does your wife laugh at this thought? God is capable of anything. I will return this time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Abraham asked Sarah, "Did you laugh?" Sarah was scared. "I didn't laugh," she lied. "Yes, you did," said Abraham.
Hey, this is Blake. I'm a Christian apologist, and you are listening to The Rosco Show.
Welcome back. So here's what I find funny about that Bible story. What if these 3 visitors, or the 3 men that walked by Abraham and Sarah's camp, what if it wasn't actually God? And Abraham ran up and he was like, "God, if you love me so much, don't pass me by," or whatever he said. And the 3 visitors just kind of like eyed each other, looked at each other, and they were thinking, you know, should we mess with this guy's head? So they're like, "Oh yeah, we're God, and you and Sarah, you're going to have a kid, and I know you're 100 years old, but blah, blah, blah." What if they were just trolling Abraham? I think that would be hilarious. Furthermore, how did Abraham know these 3 visitors were God? First of all, they're men. Second of all, there's 3 of them. So is it really a monotheistic religion? Think about it. I've heard that, you know, they could have been angels, but, you know, do you really address angels the same way that you would address God? I don't know. I'm not living in biblical times. I'm living in the now. So yeah, so that's my opinion on that Bible story. Take it for what it is. Alright guys, now we get to the point of the show. I said we have a surprise earlier on in the show. Spidey Steph's not on this week, but I want to welcome the newest addition to the Rosco Show. Are you ready for it? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Gleason, the Godless Engineer.
So recently on Neil Carter's radio interview for a Minnesota-based radio station, I asked him over the phone, what is the biggest difference for him between when he was a Christian and now as an atheist? And so I'd like to take a minute and discuss, what the big difference is for me, because Lounge Act actually asked me to do this.
engineer, a conscious pioneer, a logic general, a reason brigadier. More bullshit from the pulpit. Meet me in the comment section and you get schooled, bitch. The Godless Engineer.
Alright, so the biggest difference for me is, this overwhelming sense of guilt. I would guilt myself into things. I would always feel guilty every time I checked out a girl's ass or something. I would always feel guilty, and then I would repent, and then I'd delete my porn stash on my computer, and then, I'd be clean for a little bit, but then, I just have to fucking get off, and it's just a vicious cycle of, guilt and shame, and that's just not healthy, because, not only was I getting that from the religion that I was in, but I was also getting it from my parents, so I had like this double dose of guilt being thrown at me, and that really damaged me as I was growing up. Now, I recognize that a lot of people are dealing with a whole lot bigger issues, but for me growing up, it really did affect me a lot, and being able to shed part of that guilt allowed me to shed the other part of that guilt. Now, I don't feel guilty about just normal things like pornography. Pornography is not bad. No matter what the Christian right is going to tell you, it is not bad. It's not bad to be aroused by a woman or a man, whatever the fuck you're fancy. That was one of the big things because, my parents, they would regularly shame me for my sexuality. Even though I was a straight Christian boy at the time, they still managed to shame me for that. But since shucking religion and then subsequently shucking my parents due to their assholeness, I felt a lot freer. I felt like a huge weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. I was able to actually, get into therapy and actually get some much needed help, and I'm on a much better path. But it hasn't been an easy path. I only recently started going to therapy and, talking about my issues, and I actually got put on some medicine, Prozac. And, since I got put on Prozac, which lucky for me, it actually mixes pretty well with my chemistry, I've actually lost about 30 pounds, and I'm still going down. I'm still working hard at it. It's a gradual process, so it's not like it's going to happen over a course of a month. That would just be fucking unhealthy. So to those of you out there that just came out of religion or anything, I want you to get in touch with me. I want to talk with you. I would love to do a compilation video of talking to several different people about, what it's like to come out of that. What has changed about you? What do you see differently? I would love to have those conversations. I know I've been having a lot of conversations with a lot of big names lately, but that's just because they're out there and they're outspoken. So that's another reason why I'm doing all these conferences, is because I want to get to know people. So get in touch with me if you've recently come out of religion, or even if you've come out of religion, not so recently. I would love to hear, what it's like for you coming out of it. What has changed, if anything?
This morning, the Supreme Court recognized that the Constitution guarantees marriage equality. In doing so, they've reaffirmed that all Americans are entitled to the equal protection of the law, that all people should be treated equally, regardless of who they are or who they love. This decision will end the patchwork system we currently have. It will end the uncertainty hundreds of thousands of same-sex couples face from not knowing whether their marriage, legitimate in the eyes of one state, will remain if they decide to move or even visit another. This ruling will strengthen all of our communities by offering to all loving same-sex couples the dignity of marriage across this great land. In my second inaugural address, I said that if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well. It is gratifying to see that principle enshrined into law by this decision. This ruling is a victory for Jim Obergefell and the other plaintiffs in the case. It's a victory for gay and lesbian couples who have fought so long for their basic civil rights. It's a victory for their children, whose families will now be recognized as equal to any other. It's a victory for the allies and friends and supporters who spent years, even decades, working and praying for change to come. And this ruling is a victory for America. This decision affirms what millions of Americans already believe in their hearts. When all Americans are treated as equal, we are all more free. My administration has been guided by that idea. It's why we stopped defending the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, and why we were pleased when the court finally struck down a central provision of that discriminatory law. It's why we ended Don't Ask, Don't Tell. From extending full marital benefits to federal employees and their spouses, to expanding hospital visitation rights for LGBT patients and their loved ones, we've made real progress in advancing equality for LGBT Americans in ways that were unimaginable not too long ago. I know change for many of our LGBT brothers and sisters must have seemed so slow for so long. But compared to so many other issues, America's shift has been so quick. I know that Americans of goodwill continue to hold a wide range of views on this issue. Opposition in some cases has been based on sincere and deeply held beliefs. All of us who welcome today's news should be mindful of that fact.
Welcome back to the Rosco Show. So before we get into the second half of the interview with Brandy Madden, we are just going to do a quick little segment. I'm going to try and make it quick. It is 10 things I wish Christians considered before arguing with atheists. This is from faithstreet.com, and it was written by Michael Lehman. And I do believe Michael Lehman is a Christian, so this is going to be pretty fun. So I'm going to go through these. There's 10 of them, and we'll see what Michael has to say. Number 1, make sure you're arguing about the same God. So if you're a Christian arguing with an atheist and you assume that the atheist is talking about, like, Allah, well, it's not really going to be that great of a conversation now, is it? Because you're not even talking about the same God. Number 2, keep in mind no one has ever converted to Christianity because they lost the argument. So if you're a Christian and you're arguing with an atheist and you come out of the argument feeling like you've won, that does not necessarily mean that that atheist... Actually, it's pretty much guaranteed the atheist is not all of a sudden going to convert to Christianity. It just does not work that way. Not in one conversation anyways. Number 3, do not treat the conversation as a confrontation. Treat it as a collaborative effort to get closer to the truth. So you're both going to have points that you both agree with, but you're both going to listen to each other's points as well. So if it's more of a confrontation, of course the person on the atheistic side is going to get defensive, and it's just not going to work for you. So keep in mind as a conversation. Number 4, do not start the dialogue by talking about hell. It's pretty open and shut there. Number 5, do not give an atheist your unsolicited opinion on why he embraces atheism. So don't tell an atheist that he's an atheist because he hates God and that he's actually a believer. That's not going to work for you. Number 6, and I actually like this one a lot, stop saying evolution is wrong. 98% of scientists on this planet are not wrong. Come on, evolution is not wrong. Even if you're a Christian, you're allowed to be a Christian and believe in evolution at the same time. That is allowed. Number 7, direct the conversation towards Jesus, whenever possible anyways. If they're talking about Moses or Abraham or some of these people that really would not be considered, that great of Christian figures in the Bible, bring it back to Jesus, because Jesus actually had some good stuff to say. And to be honest with you, a lot of times some of the stuff Jesus said, an atheist can't really argue against. I know I can't anyways. But then again, I don't really like to argue to begin with. Number 8, do not unintentionally create more atheists. So if you're having a conversation with an atheist and you're a Christian and you're acting like an asshole, and there's another Christian, sitting at the next table listening to you, they might think to myself, or they might think to myself, they might think to themselves, this guy's not really making that great of points. And maybe they start questioning their own faith. So yeah, do not have that sloppy theology, because that is definitely a path to atheism. Number 9, make sure you both talk about meaning and purpose. So ask the atheist, ask him, what is your purpose in this planet? How did you get here? Where did you come from? What is the meaning of all this? Just see what his answers are. I can't believe I'm actually doing this, Iris. I'm actually giving Christians tips from this website on how to argue against atheists. It's kind of fun, actually. And last but not least, number 10. A joyful, Christ-filled life is far more powerful an argument than anything else. Yeah. You're not talking to somebody about Gnosticism. You're talking to them about Christ, okay? You're talking to them about the Creator. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Either way, so there you have it, everybody. The top 10 things I wish Christians considered before arguing with atheists by Michael Lehman. Take that for what it is. Alright guys, let's get into the second half of the interview that we have with Brandy Madden from Secular Media Group. It's gonna be good. Oh, wait a minute. We have some commercials that we have to play first. Crap. Alright, we'll get into the commercials, and then when those are done, you can probably skip it, actually. It's not a live show. Just skip through the commercials if you want. Yeah, we're getting into the interview with Brandy Madden, so stick around.
Bit heavy on the fake tan, hey, Carrot?
Oh, good one, spinach.
I'm not spinach.
Spinach.
Guys, it's about what's on the inside.
Sorry, Carrot.
Sorry, celery.
Fruit-based veggies. Nicer.
GC Raw.
Do you keep your doubts about religion to yourself? Do you have questions about God that you never ask? We have a better way. American Atheist offers a diverse community for people exploring reality, religion-free. American Atheists is leading the charge for equality and the separation of religion and government. Join the most vibrant atheist community in the country. Your voice matters because equality matters.
It's hard to get a big community of atheists together because, first of all, a lot of atheists are still in hiding. I know that. And even if there is, they don't even, there's people out there that, like you said you were before, you never really consider yourself an atheist, even though you did know that you were a non-believer. And, there is these people, and I'm sure that these people don't have any problem donating to churches and whatnot because they are getting good things done. They are getting food sent across seas and whatnot. But there's no other better way, basically, to do this. So it's kind of there's no other option. Religion has a monopoly on the helping people front, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to try to figure out a way that we can come together and build a bigger community, because there's so many people out there that want to volunteer and that want to help, and they do. I just, that's what our whole I Am Fourth campaign is about. We have the T-shirts and all that is exactly this. We're trying to have some sort of...
Trying to get people involved.
Yeah, trying to get people involved. It's really important. And, a lot of people don't even know some of these organizations that, for instance, Salvation Army that stands outside Walmart, ringing the bell. Atheists will donate to them, not knowing, the research behind everything the Salvation Army is about. I've actually talked to one. She was basically asking the question, is it okay to donate to them? And I'm like, oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She just didn't know.
Wait, is the Salvation Army, are they a religious organization?
They're anti-gay.
Oh, I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. We did a whole episode on it, actually. Back whenever they started, they used to, before you could eat, you would have to sit through a sermon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
But people don't know, so they're trying to help. And so they see, the Salvation Army, and, you know, right on the front of their apron it says doing all the good or whatever, and they associate doing all the good with that company, and so they're like, oh, you know, I want to do good, and so they just don't know. But that's what podcasting is for. That's why we do what we do, and that's why I'm sure you do what you do to spread the word about things like this, is because we don't want to support organizations like that. We want to support organizations that are really doing all the good.
So no Salvation Army. You know what? I'm from Canada. We do have Salvation Armies up here, but there is no Chick-fil-A in Canada. So thumbs up for that.
Oh.
But anyway,
they recently said that they weren't going to pour all their money into anti-gay organizations, but I don't trust that. I don't know how true that is or whatnot, but I hope it's true, but I still don't trust them.
Well, even if they're not, you know they're only doing it because of the backlash that they got from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you know, Brandy, you touched on your family a little bit earlier on in the episode, so I'm not sure if you wanted to get into that right now or not.
Yeah, that's fine.
I know that you have talked about it on Dogma Debate before, so yeah, there's some issues going on there.
Yeah, basically, I guess a couple of years ago, well, right as soon as I had this conversation with the Christian family in California, and I decided that this was something that, you know, I really wanted to start being more active in, and I wanted to identify as an atheist, and it became important to me. I figured it was important for my family to know this is who I identify as. I'm an atheist. Whenever I did that, my father's side of the family decided to stop inviting me over for family events, and not just me, but my family. The first couple of times it happened, I kind of just blew it off because my dad's kind of been here and there. He hasn't really been a super active part of my life. It's kind of been one of those relationships to where I would see him in the summertime, and I would see him probably 3 or 4 times throughout the year. Other than that, you know, on holidays and Christmas and things like that, we would get together, and that's really where I would see my aunts and my uncles and my cousins and my little brother and stuff like that. But whenever he knew that I was identifying as an atheist is whenever he stopped completely inviting me places. I reached out to him, and I decided that I didn't want to let it affect my family as much as it was, because it was really putting me in really a state of depression. I was very, very sad. And
I can imagine, yeah.
I didn't want to be sad because I really have no reason to be sad. I have a decent life, and I have David and my children that absolutely love me, and my mom who loves me, and I really hated that this one person was making such a bad impression on me. It just got to a point to where I just didn't want to hardly talk to anybody because I didn't want to be a negative influence on the people surrounding me that want to be around me. And so I sat down one day and this is crazy, because people were reaching out to me saying, I'm sorry that you're going through this. I'm here for you. And I just thought, these people have no reason to be sad for me. They have no reason to feel like I'm hurting because I have a good life. Why am I letting my dad's decision affect me so much? At that point is when I decided that I'm not going to let this bother me anymore. I'm going to see a counselor. I'm going to try to really move past this and figure out, how to cope with this. And I reached out to my dad, of course, prior to this, and I said, these things are really bothering me, and I really want to have a conversation with you in your life because I want to see my family. I don't like not being invited to family events. And he just flat out didn't respond to me. So then...
So that was sent through a message then?
Yeah, because he won't talk to me. So I sent him a text.
Oh.
There are certain times, I guess, when his wife isn't around. I don't know. I don't understand it. But anyhow, I sent him a text, and he didn't respond. So David reached out to him and called him, had a conversation with them. And basically my dad said, atheism is weird, and I don't understand it, and I don't want to understand it. You know, David was kind of shocked.
Of course, yeah.
My dad really has never been a big Christian. Like, he just started going to church a couple of years ago on a regular basis. So it's really strange to hear him say something like that. Anyways, David continued to ask him to meet up. He even said, we'll come to you. We'll drive to Oklahoma. We'll meet up with you wherever you want to have this conversation. Your daughter's really, being affected by this, and we need to figure something out and make this work. He basically pretended that he was just so busy, or not pretended. I'm sure he is busy. He's always been a really hard worker. He wouldn't set a date with David because he didn't want to commit to anything. And he said that he would follow up with me later to set something up. Well, he never did.
Oh, how long ago was that, if you don't mind me asking?
January or February.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been long enough.
Yeah. So then, I guess a month or two later, he came down to Texas, and he was in Plano. He called me up, and he said, me and your grandma are at this place having wonderful food, and we really would like you to come out. It was really hard for me to go because I wanted to say no, but at the same time I was so excited to see my family. So I was like, I guess I'll just go. This will be my last-ditch effort to really try to mend this relationship and figure out how we can meet in the middle and still have a relationship. So I went, and when I first got there, he just basically acted like nothing was wrong. I mean, he laughed and carried on, gave me a hug, and everything seemed to be just like it was before. At the end, it was nearing the time that the restaurant was closing, and I thought, this is crazy. Like, I'm sitting here giggling, acting like nothing is wrong too, but I know how I'm going to feel whenever I go back home, and that's not fair to me. And I'm tired of just accepting it.
Right.
Accepting whatever he was willing to, if he's willing to see me, well, then I'm willing to do whatever. If he's not willing to see me, well, then that's fine too. I'm tired of accepting that. It's not fair to me. I know how it's going to affect me later. So I spoke up, and I said, I've been really upset. I don't understand how you can push my entire family away just because of atheism. And the minute I said atheism, my grandma is sitting right next to me, and she just starts shaking her head. No.
Like you said a bad word or something? Or what do you...
What the heck is that supposed to mean? Yes, like I said a bad word.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm like, what is that about? I don't get it. But at the same time, I can say I don't get it now. I understand because I was judgmental of the word at one time too. So I knew exactly why she was shaking her head no. I proceeded on to talk to my dad, and I just cried my eyes out, basically. I just told him that what you're doing is really affecting my life negatively. Really, the way I look at things and life in general is, if it doesn't affect your daily living, that's really not worth spending a lot of time on. This has gotten to a point where it's really affecting my daily living. It's really affecting the people that I love that's surrounding me on a daily basis, and I don't like that. Then I went into a story about my volunteer work, because I do some volunteer work with a child that has a terminal illness, and her family is Hindu. Their family treats my family like we're part of their family. They invite us to birthday parties. They invited us to Canada.
Wow.
For a wedding. Yeah. Their weddings are like 7 days or whatnot. So they invited us to go with them to Canada. Like, this is how active they are in our life. They really love us. And I looked at my dad and I said, I feel like this family has more unconditional love for my family than you do.
Ouch.
And I don't understand. I don't understand how I just met this family a year ago, and they show love all the time, and you don't. I don't get that. We don't have the same belief, but it doesn't matter.
This Hindu family, they obviously, they don't care about labels. They just care about people, clearly, because how devoutly Hindu are they? Are they very religious when it comes to their religion, or?
I'm not real sure. I'm still figuring it out. I know that their daughter was in the hospital recently. Everybody on the post was saying, pray to this God, whatever it was. Like, every single message on her Facebook, it all said the exact same thing. I was the only one that got on there and said, my thoughts are with you guys.
Yep.
But they don't care. They don't judge me. They don't prevent me from talking to them. They don't not call me or whatever. And they barely know me. I wanted to bring that up to my dad because, I thought it was important for him to understand and kind of see that it's okay to not believe and still have a relationship with a believer. It's okay. We can do this. It can work.
What was his reaction to that then?
When I was having the conversation, I was looking him in the eyes, and you could tell he was very emotional. He wasn't crying, but you could tell his eyes were kind of watering up at times, and he was nodding his head yes, and he said at the end of it, he said, I'm going to figure something out. And that was 3 or 4 months ago.
Wow. So, technically he could still be trying to figure something out. You know what I mean? Or
yeah. Basically what I told him is I'm going to see a counselor to see how I can get over the fact that you're not going to be an active part of my life, because this is really painful. You just pop up whenever you want and then don't invite me to family events. I don't like the way that makes me feel.
No doubt.
So I want to talk to somebody that's a professional that will understand where I'm coming from. And I did just that, and I'm perfectly fine now. I'm very okay with the way things are. I mean, I know that I can't say that I'll ever get over the fact that I don't get to see my family, because I'm a very compassionate person, and I'm very into my family. I love my family. I love all of them. Believers, non-believers, whatever. I don't care what you believe. I love them. I grew up with them. So I don't know that I'll ever get over it in whole. But I found a way to process it and not be kind of shut out to the family that's surrounding me that actually wants to be a part of my life.
So you kind of have things figured out. That's, without trying to sound too negative, though, that's still got to be hard on you, though. I mean, I can't even imagine. I know my girlfriend, Iris, she went 1.5 years without seeing her family. And she actually just went and visited them Actually, it was only about 3 days ago for the first time in a year and a half. And
oh, wow.
She felt like she couldn't do it. I think she was getting through it okay. But it was when they would message her, or because before when they would message her, they didn't say very nice things. But I think they started to realize, or they started to come around, and they realized, they missed their daughter, or they missed their sister, or so I think that's basically what happened.
Yeah.
Even though they still kind of they still refuse to apologize for all the mean, negative things that they've done and what they've said. I don't think either party cares. I don't think Iris cares or they care, as long as they're, they have things figured out right now.
Right.
I'm really hoping something like that happens with you, Brandy, even if it takes a year and a half, 2 years. I know you said that you have like coping mechanisms, or you know ways to deal with it now, but it could all turn around for you eventually.
Yeah. Well, I think I've learned more than anything is that a big key in all this for me was expectations, really. I can remember back when I was 12 years old, my mom standing on the porch at my grandma's house yelling at my dad on the phone because he didn't call me on my birthday. This was always a struggle for him to be there. But as far as family events, that was a given. I was always invited. That was never a problem. No matter if he forgot to call me or what, I was always invited. And I always knew that too. It just really became a problem whenever I identified as atheist, because he doesn't understand what it means. He thinks, I don't know what he thinks. I don't think that he cares. I think that for him, God equals good and anything else is bad. And it's just as simple as that. So he looks at me like I'm a bad person. And I stood there at that restaurant crying my eyes out, telling him, out of all the things I do in my life, how are you so judgmental? And he told me that day, he said that I'm one of the most kind, giving people he knows. So if you know that, then why would you turn your back on your daughter like that? Why would you walk away?
Right, it's your actions that make you a good or bad person, not what you personally believe or don't believe, really. So
right. Yeah.
So
but I think it's important to share the story just because I know that my story may not be as bad as some other people's. I've heard other stories that are horrific. I have. But I also understand that there are people out there that are just like me, in a similar situation like me, and that can identify with my story and understand and be like, wow, there's somebody else out there that's dealing with the same things. And that's the reason why I want to share my story.
Okay, excellent. And I thank you so much for sharing that. And to be honest with you, I've never experienced anything like that, so I can't really relate, but I do feel your pain. Like I said, I do have a girlfriend that was going through something similar and still is, in a way, going through something very similar to that. So, well, tell you what, let's take it up a notch. Let's get into some questions about TV, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
I've become aware that you're not a huge TV or movie watcher, but
oh, no.
I'm still going to ask the questions anyways. So,
okay.
Brandy, what is your favorite TV show?
I don't have one. That is probably going to be the end of that session. No.
Oh, wow.
I really don't have one. We have Hulu and Netflix and all that stuff on our TV, and really the extent of my TV watching is turning it on to look for a documentary. And I'll watch a documentary from start to finish, but I don't watch any TV shows.
Okay, what's the last documentary you watched? Let's try that then.
I watched Happy.
Happy?
Yeah. It's a documentary on the science behind happiness and how you can, basically you have control over your own happiness is what the whole documentary is about. It kind of goes to different countries and places and interviews different people. And it's crazy to think about what happiness means to me, and then seeing a interview and somebody else talking about what happiness means to them, because it's so different. And when you think of happiness, you know, you have certain thoughts that run through your head of what happiness means to you, and to see it be something so different, it's eye-opening, really.
Wow, I'll have to check that out. I've never even heard of that. Okay, so yeah. I do not count documentaries as movies. So I'm going to ask, instead of asking what's your favorite movie, I'll just ask you, what is the last movie that you watched?
Oh, uh-oh. Well, if you don't count documentaries as movies, then I'm in trouble because...
Well, I do count them as movies, but in this instance, okay, what's your favorite movie? You got to have a favorite movie.
I don't really enjoy watching TV because I feel like there's so many other things to do, like active things to do. I enjoy running more than I enjoy watching TV. That's why I don't have a favorite TV show.
Tell you what, the last one is one that you can relate to then. TV shows, movies, and what is your favorite music? What's your favorite band?
I don't have one.
Wow.
I like a very big variety of music. When I run, I listen to hip-hop, like hip-hop hits. Whenever I'm thinking about, you know, family back in the day, whenever, you know, my grandmother was alive, I usually play like Hank Williams Jr. and really old country, you know, stuff like that. I like alternative, I like pop.
Just a plethora of music.
I really like 80s music. I play 80s a lot. But I don't really have like a favorite. I don't really listen to one thing more than the other. I mean, I guess you could say as far as type of music, I really like stuff like Colby Calais. I really like most of her music that she makes, but all of her music kind of sounds the same, so I can't really play it for a long period of time because I get bored with it.
So not like a big Eminem fan or... well, you said you listen to hip-hop.
I mean, there's some songs I like.
And that's probably the most that I can relate to is hip-hop music. And maybe the 80s music if it's like a hair metal band or something. Okay, tell you what. Name association, Ryan Bell.
Ryan Bell. I think he's an important person in atheist activism because he has a story to tell, and he's a very kind person, and he comes from a background that a lot of people can associate with, and so it's easy to understand his story, his conversion.
Ashley and Bobby from No Religion Required.
Super sweet people. The first thing I think of is country, and because they're from Georgia.
Blake Genta. I know there was some beef there. He's a handsome fella.
Yeah, I just don't know what to say that's appropriate. I don't really have anything negative to say, but I don't know that I have anything positive to say either, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so just kind of neutral?
Yeah.
Blake Genta. Okay. Last but not least, Mr. David Smalley.
Oh. My lover. I don't know. I don't know what to... Kind, compassionate. I have a lot of things to say about David. Just to give you an example, a quick example, that kind of tells it's very telling. This one simple thing. Last Friday, I had a small get-together with a bunch of girls, and he said, you know what, let me take the kids out, and we will stay gone for the night so that you can have a night with your friends at our home, and you can just enjoy yourself. So we did that. I found out later that it just so happens that the Friday night that I was out with my friends was also a lot of graduations in the Dallas area. He spent until 5 a.m. looking for a hotel to stay at. He went through 23 hotels to find a hotel for him and the kids.
Aw.
So if that tells you anything, that's the kind of heart he has.
Yeah, no, he seems like a very sweet guy. You seem very lucky. I'm jealous.
Yes, very, very lucky. Love him to pieces.
All right, Brandy. I really appreciate you coming on and talking to me. I'm sorry if there was anything hard that you had to go through, or hard for you to answer anyways. But I do appreciate you coming on and kind of opening up to me and opening up to the listeners of my podcast. Is there anything that you want to say, or any questions you have for me, or anything you'd like to promote before we go?
Check out Secular Media Group, because we really, like I said in this interview, I really want to shed some light on atheists and atheist activism, and I want to have a good group of volunteers that's willing to do stuff, not just for our organization, but just in general in their area, or things like that. I think it's important, and I know you just said something about thank you for sharing your story, and I just want to let people know that even though you feel that your story may not be as heartbreaking as somebody else's, or maybe yours isn't a big deal, or something to that effect, I think that every story is a big deal, because there are all kinds of people out there looking for some sort of support system, especially in the atheist movement. And I think it's always important to share your stories and connect with other people that may be going through the same thing, because, like I said in the interview, we're all in this world together just trying to find our way. So the bigger support system that we can have, the better off we are.
Wow. Yeah, that's very true, and that's a very positive message to send out there. And yeah, I totally 100% agree with that. All right, Brandy, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Would you ever come on again if I asked? Maybe on episode 100 or something?
Yeah, as long as you don't ask me what my favorite TV show is. No, I'm just kidding.
I promise I won't. We'll switch that with your favorite food or something like that next time.
I'm totally kidding. I think that I'm just kind of a simple person, and I guess if I sat down and watched TV for a minute, I probably could figure out quickly what my favorite TV show is. I just don't watch a lot of TV.
Right. You know what? To be honest with you, I am not a big TV watcher myself, but there are those one or two shows that I do like, so I can relate on some level, but All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Brandy, and you have yourself a great night.
Of course. You too.
Protests are spreading across the U.S. for the withdrawal of the Confederate battle flag. In South Carolina, many want it removed from the state house following last week's massacre of black worshippers by a suspect who regarded it as an emblem of white supremacy. At the state Senate, after the governor called on lawmakers to take the flag down, a bill is now being debated over its future. While supporters see the rebel flag as a cultural memorial, manufacturers have taken things into their own hands. Walmart, the US's biggest retail store, Amazon and eBay are just some who've announced they will stop selling related products, while a prominent flag maker has agreed to stop production.
Welcome back, guys. I really want to thank Brandy for coming on and telling her story. I know for a lot of people that actually takes a lot of courage to do that, to come on a podcast and tell your story like that. I can really tell she loves and misses her family, so I'm really hoping that things work out for her in the end. Like I said in the interview, the lovely Iris, who I have a lot of fun with on the show, well, she's actually my real-life girlfriend, believe it or not. That's right, believe it or not, I do have a girlfriend. Anyways, she kind of went through something very similar for the past year and a half with her family, and things are working out now, so, don't ever give up hope, especially on something like that. Some of the commercials that I like to play on the show are the Freedom from Religion commercials, and I don't really bring it up ever on the show. In fact, this is the first time I'm actually talking about it aside from the commercials that I play, but organizations like that exist for problems like this. If you're feeling like you're struggling with your religion, or you're feeling like you're struggling with your faith, there's people here to help you out. And that's what Freedom from Religion is for, the FFRF, Freedom from Religion Foundation. So hit up that website, definitely. If you ever have any questions, or if you ever feel lost, or you don't know your own faith, or if you're struggling with your own faith, hit that up, because that's what it's designed for.
Well, I thought it was a good episode. What about you, Iris? Yeah, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I know I already said this, but thank you so much to Brandy for coming on and talking with me. That was awesome. Just keep in mind that even though a lot of us are atheists and a lot of us are Christians, and I've said this on previous shows, we all have to live on the same planet, so we might as well try and get along. I understand that atheists want to convince Christians that their views are wrong, but like I stated before, if you're not doing anything bad, meaning, like, if you're not trying to go out and kill people or ban gay marriage, or, which, you know what, you can't really ban gay marriage anymore because it just came legal in the States. Can we get a cheer? No, I was going to edit in, like, clapping, and then Iris goes, woo! Well, no, I was just kind of, like, pausing for a second so that I could edit the cheer in. Alright, no, it's cool. I'm not going to edit it in now. Now I'm just going to... Here, come closer to the microphone. Do the woo again, will you? Oh, okay. Alright, so anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. We are not going to have another episode for 2 weeks. This is actually going to be a podcast that comes out every 2 weeks now. Every week it's been way too much for me. I have to spend time with my girlfriend, and I have to spend time with my little baby Alika, and this podcast is actually taking me away from that, so I don't want to be doing that anymore. I'm still going to create podcasts, of course. You're still going to be hearing the Rosco Show. It's just going to be bi-weekly now, so for everybody that tunes in every Friday to hear the show, it's now going to be every other Friday, so I apologize about that. That's it, guys. Remember to keep an open mind. Peace.
Okay.
Hey, so guess what? We didn't get any of that. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
This thing.
Maybe I'll word it a little better the second time around.
Okay, you have you know what? I've had to do that many times. I have to take that's the benefit of having a podcast that you can edit, and when you're not doing it live. Yeah, it popped up, and then I looked at it, and it said off, and I went, oh no. So, but now it's on.
That's okay. I understand.
And
well, luckily you're talking to somebody that deals with these kind of issues on a weekly basis, so.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, so you understand then. Awesome.
I'm glad that you'll fix those things at least.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm glad that you came back and kind of repeated yourself better on things that you did kind of mess up, because a lot of people don't do that, and then I kind of have to try and edit around it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
So at least with those,
yeah, no, I know the whole process of like you have to start over at a certain, like you can't just start anywhere you want. You got to start over where you messed up or whatnot.
Right, exactly. Okay. Oh, and Iris said hello. I was actually going to mention that during the episode.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but yeah, Iris says hello. She's not in the room with me, but I'll tell her you said hey. Perfect.
Okay, tell your baby hey too.
Oh.
I don't understand, but she's adorable.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we think she is too. But all right. Well, thanks so much, Brandy. I really appreciate that. This is going up on Friday.
Okay.
And yeah, Friday on the 12th. So I don't know if you want to check the website, but I'll probably just send you a link to it once it's up.
Okay, cool.
All right, awesome.